I am the host, Richard Ravenbrook, a man, a life coach, and a spiritual mentor who has endeavored to find real spiritual truth and self-enlightenment. With experiences in various ministry types, pagan traditions, and even magical paths. With a love for Mother Earth and a balance of life, I work to channel spirit and to help educate and mentor those striving to deconstruct from mainstream religion and to empower them to find the divinity within themselves and to the truth around them. The messages are focused on everyday life, creating an environment of real coexistence, a world of mutual respect, love, and dignity. The pagan preacher is all things, the preacher and the pagan, speaking from the wisdom of spirit. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Pagan Preacher podcast in the Ravensbrook Sanctuary. Today, what we want to talk about is a gathering. Spirit says a gathering is coming. A gathering of like-minded people, pagan-hearted, spirit-filled, earth-loving people. People that understand the word balance, love, integrity, equality. These things are in motion. These things will take place and just not very long in the future. You know, I think we all wait for these days. We know they're coming, we feel they're coming, some of us think they're coming. And I'm not talking about religious. I'm not talking about the church. I'm talking about the people that will inherit this earth. This last go around. You know, as I sit here and I try to feel spirit, listen to spirit, to properly interpret what spirit is trying to say, it becomes difficult sometimes because, you know, physical emotions come through. You get excited, you get sad. You know, whatever spirit speaks, when spirit moves through you, you feel these things. You not just understand what's being said, but you feel them and your emotions are affected by them. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. The Spirit says there's going to be a time very soon, and most likely we probably should have already been doing this. But in the United States and in other countries, people like us, pagan-hearted, pagan-minded, just spiritual people, spiritual seekers, are persecuted daily for their beliefs, are persecuted for their lack of Christian belief, or lack of whatever corporate mainstream religion it is. Spirit says there's going to be a time you've got to rise up. You've got to rise up and begin to battle these things in an effort to, how do I want to say this, to calm the tides. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm not speaking about rising up and doing harm or damage or any kind of physical violence. What I'm talking about is enlightenment, teaching, education. You know, we have a church almost on every corner in every town in the United States, and they're still building. We have Christian beliefs on our television, billboards, internet, our TV shows. But we don't see the other things. We don't see the beliefs that many of us hold. It's like we are not allowed to teach, to mentor, to educate. And if we do it, we've got to do it in a very small, quiet manner so we don't disrupt the Christian masses. That has to stop. That has to end. We have come to the point in our existence where we have to understand that it isn't just about the persecution, but it's about the truth. It's about educating people to the truth. And I've said on many, many, many times that the corporate church doesn't know the truth. Most Christians do not know the truth. I, for one, worked in the church and everything else, and I thought I knew. I thought I had it. And I had nothing. I was deceived. It took a lot for me to reconstruct, deconstruct, and understand what Spirit was trying to tell me. Because for years, I believed what they told me. I believed everything that the ministers, the mentors, and the spiritual teachers of the church would teach. But I always felt there was something that just wasn't right. It just didn't sit well within my heart. People's actions, words, the way we handled ourselves, the way the church handled itself, it just didn't reflect on what I was reading and what I understood from Spirit. But people are being deceived daily, and the truth is being suppressed and hindered from our societies. Wisdom is being hindered and quenched. The real spiritual teachers are being silenced because evil forces don't want people being enlightened to the truth. The way it is right now, we are under control. Well, at least most people are somewhat under control. We have a belief out there, it says that if you're good, you go to heaven, and if you're not, you're gonna, you're gonna burn for eternity. And to some people, that's enough to try to live a decent life. Some people, like us, we try to live a good life because it's simply the right thing to do, not because we're afraid. We live a good life. We try to live the best life we can because it's simply good. We want the best for ourselves, our family, our society. And we care about more than just our own interests, but the interest of the children and their children, not just our children, but the children that will inherit this earth after us. Spirit says it's time that we rise up and demand to be able to teach, to educate, to enlighten, whether it be on the billboards, whether it be in schools, whether it be in homes, on television, wherever it may be. If the cross can be there, so can the pentacle. So can the pentagram. So can whatever symbol you have, whether it be the hammer, whatever it may be. You have the right to teach others what you believe. And without persecution, without hindrance, without someone telling you constantly that you're going to burn forever if you continue to teach what you're teaching. That there is no more backbiting, gossiping, slandering of people, businesses and organizations and temples done by the church or whatever other religious organization that might come against it. Saying that, well, we have to say this because our God says we have to come against this. And I say now that we rise up against that. That we reject that notion that you need to come against our belief. Because we understand the facts that if your God chooses to eliminate us from this earth because we are less, then so be it. We don't need nor want your persecution and your so-called love. What we want is freedom. What we want is opportunity to live. Not just have a life, but live. To be able to express yourself in your heart. You can't even put a post on Facebook without being attacked by religious zealots trying to tell you that you're wrong, that you're just, you're of the devil, so many different things. You do not have the right to come against someone else's religion just because you feel, or because your faith feels, that you've got to say something. Because you don't. Because it isn't up to you to save anybody. Even the Bible even says that you need to worry about your own salvation before you worry about someone else's. You have to worry about the stick in your own eye before you go focusing on someone else's life. And as I look out there in this world, there is nobody perfect. Nobody walking around without sticks in their eyes and scars. And I've said this many times. You can't tell me that a God would create all of us and then sit back and watch as we fight each other and kill each other over what we think is the truth, when all it would take would be a divine encounter by that God, and everything would end. All wars, all arguments, all debates, but yet it's silent. And that doesn't mean that you don't believe in God. It doesn't mean that you have, how do I want to word this? That, because you do believe. But you understand that the way things have been taught are incorrect. The way that we have understood things in the past was incorrect. That all these things exist. God exists. The man that we call Jesus did exist. But the church and the people that would want to control us, and even in other religions, it's the same thing. At least in some. I'm not going to say all, because there are a lot of very good religious philosophies out there. But you know, we've been under control for a very, very long time. You know, they used to even hand out Bibles in schools and try to indoctrinate everybody's children to one religion. And I understand, because I was there. You know, I understand the notion that one nation under God, and we believe this because it's the best thing. It is, you know, it makes sense if you're Christian. But the problem is, we have more than Christians in the United States and throughout this world. The United States is a mixing pot of multiple cultures, religions, philosophies, and ideas. We have no right to try to say or to convert or to indoctrinate anyone. Religion and all those things don't belong in school unless we involve all of them in school. Religion, lack of religion, no religion, whatever it may be, those things are for your home. Those things are for parents and grandparents, and those things we learn at home. Those things we learn why we grow up, why we research, when we seek. But we should never be pushed and told what is right, what is wrong, unless we have asked for that opinion. If you go somewhere and you're listening to a specific speaker, then you have already allowed the message of that speaker to come through because you're there. But a Norse pagan wouldn't probably go to a Catholic Mass. We have to, and this really gets hard, I guess, in a way, because we see things and we don't want to, we're going to say, well, we call pagans, I know this is an umbrella term, but that we've come so far in this world and we're afraid to do anything because we might get pushed back by the same people that pushed us in the hole to begin with. The Spirit says no. Spirit says it's not going to happen this time. Spirit says that you will rise up and you will take back what was taken from you. And that doesn't mean you're coming against their God. It doesn't mean you're coming against, what you're coming against is the lies. You're coming against the corporate entities that have developed a doctrine that is outside of what even Christianity was supposed to be. You're coming against the anti-truths. You want to teach enlightenment. You want to teach peace, harmony, equality. And others want to teach that you can't live that way and you can't do this and you can't do that. But you know what? Some things are not for us to judge. Some things should be left up to the gods. Or the God, our Creator, whatever it is that you feel in your heart. Because on this spiritual path, we all walk down different paths and we have different understandings. That's why sometimes when I teach, I'll say multiple different theologies, multiple different paths, I guess, because even on myself, I say I have walked many different paths. You will walk many different paths. So the things that you believe today, I guarantee you in 10 years it will change. It may not completely change, but there will be changes. Because you will find out sometimes that the thing that you thought you knew the most, and you had it, by golly, you had it nailed to the wall, and in 10 years, 5 years, whatever it may be, you're going to find out that, you know what? I totally misunderstood that. I didn't have a clue of what I was even doing. But I did learn something. That's what spirituality is about. It's about walking down multiple paths, learning from those paths, understanding that truth isn't just in one religion. The Spirit isn't confined to a theology. Truth doesn't belong to anyone. Truth does not belong to any religion, sect, cult, group, organization, or whatever it may be. Spirit is free to go to and fro and speak to whomever Spirit chooses to speak with. Enlightenment comes to those that seek truth. Look deep within themselves, because that's where spirit starts. The reflections of oneself, the reflections of what have I done in this world? My mistakes, my successes, people that I helped, maybe people that I hurt. But ultimately, Spirit shows us what we did, what we should have done, what we didn't do. And that's how we learn. It's not about doctrine, it's not about law. It's about freedom to explore, to live. And I think all religions out there, for the most part, feel that way. But we have allowed the oppressor to come into our world. And it's come into this world through corporate religion, bombarding us everywhere we go, saying that you have to believe this or else. Let us rise up and say, no, that is not true. In my belief, it says this. My God says this. My God says that your God is not what He says He is. My God says your God is not a He. My God says I am His child. He created me. They created me. And I am of them. Even in Scripture, know ye not that ye are gods? Know ye not that ye are gods? For what is the child of a God but a God? Understanding the divinity within ourselves. It's been taken away from us. Enlightenment has been shoved in the closet. And anybody that tries to find it is marked with some kind of black stain that they're evil, they're a heretic. Just like they did Jesus. Just like they do everyone that tries to go against the grain of society and what's considered normal. You gotta rise up. Not in violence, but in determination, in boldness, in integrity. And say, no more are you going to keep indoctrinating our children. No more are you going to be pushing people and convincing people that they're worthless and no good, that they have nothing to offer this world because they're sinful. Because the God I know says something entirely different. God I know says that you can do anything that you put your mind to. That we as a people can come together and develop a world that is complete and utter harmony and peace. That we go far beyond the boundaries of this earth. We can reach for the stars and develop a culture that is so much more than you could ever imagine right now. We've got to get past these religious lines, this indoctrination, this conservative hate. And I'm not against conservatives, but sometimes we can put ourselves into a mindset that says that you refuse to accept anything that you just don't believe in. But what we have to understand is nobody's asking you to accept something as right. All they're asking you is to accept their right to believe it is for them. You still can hold your right, your belief. If you believe something is wrong, then you live that life like it's wrong. But just as you have that right, so does the other person have the right. You have the right to put a big billboard on the interstate that says, "Come to Jesus." Then someone else has the right to create a big billboard that says, whatever it may be. Understand Buddha. There's so many questions and so many things that Spirit starts to stir within you when you start to feel things change. And I said there's going to be a gathering, and that should excite you. A gathering of us people, the ones that will rise up. Teachers, educators, mentors, people that will no longer be suppressed. We're not going to be violent, but by golly, if we have to march, we're going to march, and we're going to sing it loud. We're going to shout it loud. We're going to put up billboards all over the place. We're going to put up temples if we have to. We're going to, whatever it takes to educate people on the truth. We have that right. We want our right. We want freedom. We want the same thing that others have. We want what is obviously what we obviously don't have right now. You're going to say, well, you got religious freedom. You can do whatever you want in your house or whatever else. No, that's not good enough. I and others, and Spirit says it's time. The church and others have had 2,000 years to try to create a good world. And look at it. Wars in every country, famine, starvation, sickness. Didn't work. Didn't do something right, and it's time for a change. It's time for Spirit. It's time for the truth. It's time for true spirituality. It's time for enlightenment to be the light that guides everyone on this earth. That should be everyone's goal, to be enlightened, to understand their purpose, to understand all of us together, to understand mutual respect of differences, to understand that we all are going to be different, and that's okay. That we all can work together regardless of what we believe or anything else. We can live together and coexist in freedom and in expression if we can simply understand mutual respect of differences. We've got to rise up, begin to teach wherever it may be. When you see someone or you see something and you see that they're being intimidated by religion because they have all these teachers out there that are trying to push their doctrine or their teachings, but there's no one else to teach what actually lies within their heart. And I know I've seen it. It was me at that time, and I've seen others hungry for spiritual knowledge, but unable to find a teacher, unable to find a mentor. The only place you can find one is the corporate church. But then you're going the wrong direction. Everybody just, the time is coming And I'm going to try to end this podcast because, I try to keep it under 30 minutes. And sometimes I can get talking, sometimes I can get long-winded and just start rambling. But let's just think about what I've said. Think about what Spirit's trying to say. Think about how we can do these things in a manner that is the most peaceful. Because we don't want to do anything in violence. We don't want to do anything that's going to cause a major ruckus. But we have to find a way to rise. We have to find a way to deter things and change things. We don't want violence. But this has to happen. Whether it be by consent or conquest, will be up to Spirit. But we shall rise and make a better world. Be blessed, everybody, and blessed be. Thank you, everyone. This is Richard Ravenbrook. From my heart to yours, I hope you are blessed. Please be a blessing. Share these podcasts. Share my short videos. Tell the world the work that's being done. Help me open the minds of those so closed. Help me bring into the fold those seeking truth and enlightenment. Be blessed.